Alright, so let's get started. First, I'm going to use this angled brow duo. It's the E75 angled brow as well as the E80 brow and lash brush. And then I'm going to use the brow wax just to slick my hairs down and make sure that they stay in place and that they don't move. I'm going to slick the hairs down in the direction that I want them to go in. So the front of the brow, I'm going to brush it up with the brow wax, and then going towards the end of the brow, I'm going to brush it out. This is the brow powder I'm going to be using. This is medium brow powder, and I'm just going to use that dark shade to fill in my brows. So I'm going to pick up a good amount of product and start in the center of my brow and work my way towards the end of my brow. And I do this because I pick up the most product, and I don't want the most product to be at the front of my brow because it's going to make the front of my brow look too harsh. So I'm just going to work from the center on back to the tail of my brow first, and then when I have minimal amount of product on the brush, I'm just going to go ahead and work on the front of the brow. So I'm just going to keep picking up brow powder because of course it's not like a pomade where I could just keep going with the product that I already have on my brush. I'm working with a very small amount at a time, and even though I don't have that much hair on the tail of my brow, I'm just going to keep picking up product and just brushing it out using hair-like strokes so that everything really matches nicely. I didn't want to clip this down just so I can show you how long it actually takes me to do my brows, and so you can see each step that I do to do my brows. So after I go on ahead and try and fill in the tail of my brow, I'm just going to use hair-like strokes, flicking the brush upward for the front of my brow and just to fill in that part since I have a little bit of bald spots in the front of my brow, and then I just continue on to the tail of my brow. My brow technique from my last brow tutorial to now is still the same. The only thing is that I am using powder instead of a pomade. So if you guys want to check out my last brow tutorial, if you are interested in using a pomade or a gel, I'll have that listed in the description box. But if a powder is more your style and it's more easier, then this brow tutorial is for you. So I still use the same concealer. This is the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Toffee. And then I'm going to use my Sigma flat definer brush to carve out the bottom of my brow. So I'm just going to start off with a very light amount of product and just clean up the bottom part of my brow. And then as I place that product under my brow, I'm just going to drag it down a little bit so that it can act as a brow highlight as well. So now I'm going to go in with my Sonia Kashuk Dome shaped brush and just blend all of that concealer away. So these are the two flat definer brushes that I use. I'm sorry, I thought that the brushes were in focus, but they're not. But the one that I am using now is a crown brush flat definer brush, and it's not as flat as I would like it to be. So I found it perfect to carve out the end of the top of the brow. I know in my last brow tutorial I did not carve out the top, and a lot of people were saying that it looked messy, but that was just my style that I was doing back then. So now I kind of just carve out the top and just brush away that concealer, and this is only so that my brow can look more straight. It looks a little bit neater, and it just doesn't look as messy as it did before. So it just cleans it up and makes it look really nice. And I did kind of brush off a little bit of the tail of my brow, so if that ever happens, just go back in with your product and just kind of add that tail back in. But a natural brow really doesn't have a sharp defined point at the end, so I really like how that actually came out. It looks very natural. So now I'm just going to speed it on up and just complete the other brow and catch it up a little bit. And I don't know if you can see, but I do apply a lot of product to the end of the brow only because I don't have that much hair in the end of the brow. And on my right brow, I have to use the hair-like strokes for the front of the brow more than I did on the right side because the right brow doesn't have as much hair as the left brow does. So that's why it looks a little different, and I really don't fill in the center of my brow because there's hair there. So I want everything from the front of the brow to the tail of the brow to match the center of the brow, if that makes sense. And I actually find that using a powder helps the brow look more natural, only because it doesn't look painted on. I know that there is a way for you to, there is a technique for you to use to where you can use the pomade and make it look like hair-like strokes and make it look natural. But just for me, because of the way that my brows are, I feel like the powder makes my brows look even more natural. And I really like using the powder, especially for days where I don't wear any makeup and I still want to put on my eyebrows. They still look very natural instead of it looking very bold, because I don't have anything else on my face except my eyebrows. So on my left brow, I kind of made it a little unstraight. It's not straight enough, so I just go in and kind of straighten it with the concealer and then just blend away that product. So how I get my brows to look very natural is I brush all of my hairs upward, and then I get a brow gel and just brush it upward with it, and that way it'll stay and you can really see my hairs through the brow product. So I'm going to use this Brow Highlight Duo, and I'm just going to use the matte shade and apply that under my brow. This can also act as a setting powder for the concealer underneath your brow, but you don't necessarily need it. But for me, whenever I do eyeshadows and stuff like that, I love to apply it. And then I apply the highlighting shade only to the center of my eyebrow. I don't apply it to the full eyebrow, or else it'll look like my brow has an extreme highlight. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!